Okay, everybody, happy Monday, May 19th. You are here for how to save 10 hours of work, 10 hours a week at work with AI. I want to save 10 hours of work too. That's also a good idea too. My name is Albert. I'm the founder of Albert's List. We are a job search, AI, and side hustle skills company located here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And with me today is Eric Forst. He is a serial entrepreneur, AI instructor, and all around good guy here in San Francisco. AI, as you know, has taken over, and it is a very important part of our workflow today. And it may leave you wondering, how are you going to use AI as you grow your career? Is it going to take your job, or are you going to have it augment the work that you do? With us here to dispel those myths and figure out what everything looks like once the dust has settled is Eric Forst. And he's going to tell you how you can save 10 hours a week with the right tools, with the right approaches, and more. This webinar is being recorded. It's going to be on our YouTube, and we will be following up. And without further ado, Eric, over to you.
Thanks, Albert. It's really great to be here again tonight and excuse me, share my webinar with all of you. Um, as Albert said, my name is Eric Forst, and I've been very lucky to have been working with AI since 2007 when ran business development for a company called Visible Technologies. And for 5 years, I got to help companies do social media listening, and we were using AI to do something called social media sentiment analysis, where we help big brands and companies understand what people are saying about their products, their services on social media online using AI. So AI has been around for a long time. A lot of people say that it was actually first invented and conceived about 80 years ago. But as you know, we've really had a revolution in this space. And I've been using it every day for the last 2.5 years since ChatGPT came out for my startups. At the bottom of the screen, you can see Bloxy, WeHeartSF, and Pangea Social. And I wouldn't even try to do two startups and a community service project called WeHeartSF if it weren't for AI. I feel like I have a staff of 10 people who are able to help me save way more than 10 hours a week. But my hope is that what you learn here today, you'll be able to save at least that much. So, you probably all noticed this really AI revolution that's going on. It's a transformation that's happening to culture, to society, to the way we work, to the way we think, to the way we create because of AI. And knowing how to have really great prompting techniques is incredibly important. It helps you really understand what AI is good at and what it's not as good at, and how to get the most out of it. So with prompt mastery, you can unlock AI's full potential. And there's something called custom GPTs, which if you buy the $20 a month plus subscription to ChatGPT with OpenAI, or if you buy something called projects in Claude Sonnet, it's really the same thing as custom GPTs. That's the sort of the Anthropic version. You can personalize AI with for your business with the workflows and the content that are unique, and so you're able to create something really powerful. So we're going to give a preview into custom GPTs today. And before we get going, we've got another poll for you, which is what's your biggest challenge at work, time, content creation, emails, or other? And if you list time or other, please put in the chat, please share in the chat, um, what are some examples of the other? What are some of the things, that you're using it for specifically? So if you can add that to the chat, that would be great. So we get back to the webinar. So, so what is AI? AI works based on inference, not expertise or experiences, the way Mashima Thompson defines it. He runs a marketing agency in Oakland, and I love this definition because it really empowers you, I think, to realize that in some ways AI is kind of dumb. It doesn't know what it's like to walk down the street and that smell after it rains. It doesn't have, in my case, 30 years of experience in business and, all of the meetings I've been in, all of the politics and emotions that, are part of working with other people on a team. It doesn't really understand those things. So, we as humans still have agency. We still control the AI. And we're able to make it this really powerful tool for our business with custom GPTs. But just so everyone kind of understands sort of the basics of how it works, the way that these large language models, ChatGPT, Anthropic, Facebook's Llama, were created is first by training, ingesting millions and millions of websites, pretty much the entire web, everything that has ever been online, plus books, newspapers, print, audio files. It's all been ingested, as we say, by the AI language models. And all of the words and phrases and ideas have been basically tagged with numbers that we call weightings. So it allows for the pattern detection. It allows you to kind of just make predictions like what's going to sound good. If there's a million stories of someone going to the convenience store at 2 in the morning, they're probably getting cigarettes or milk or diapers, right? So it kind of sees those patterns over time. And then on number three here for application, it uses these learned patterns to generate relevant responses to prompts, really just stuff that is relevant to the input that you give it that sounds good to a human. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really know stuff. It just knows how to kind of predict patterns that sound good to a human. So looking at this new poll, we've got lot of time management and content creation, a little bit of email management, and some other. Again, would love to see in the chat if you have any specific things, organizing everything with multiple projects taking place, getting the gist from a huge doc, saving time. Those are really good use cases, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do both of those things in this webinar today. Getting up to speed researching something new, excellent use case. So why AI? Why now? AI can, it can equal productivity on autopilot, right? But it's garbage in, garbage out. You have to give it really good prompts if you want to get the most out of it. Better prompts equal better AI responses. That is still true. It's getting better and better at allowing you just to talk naturally. And when you create custom GPTs, it's really awesome because it's kind of already trained and you've already put the prompt into it. So once you build a custom GPT, you can really just interact with it in a more natural way. And this gives you efficiency. It not only, makes, a time savings with efficiency, but it actually can help you be more innovative, uncover new possibilities, think of content that should be in your blog post that you wouldn't have thought of. So you're going to save time and actually have a better quality product if you learn how to use AI and integrate it with your work and your life. So the first concept that I want to share with you all today is something called a zero-shot prompt and a few-shot prompt. So a zero-shot prompt, an example of that would be write me a product description for a coffee mug. We call it a zero-shot prompt because that's it. There's no other context given to it. With a few-shot prompt, you're giving examples to put that description in context. You might want to give it some descriptions of other products that you've written, product descriptions for to kind of teach it more about what kind of product description you want. So for this first exercise, what I'd like everyone to do is open ChatGPT, or if you prefer Claude Anthropic, that's fine, and just type into the GPT, write a product description for a coffee mug, and I'll do it along with you so you can see what I'm getting. Coffee mug. And I'm going to put it on ChatGPT o3, which is one of the advanced reasoning models you get in the Plus subscription. So for those of you who haven't used Plus before, you can see how it might be a little different than if you're using the free version with 4.0. Zero shot prompting, not exactly clear what you said. What I was saying is that I just gave it the most basic instruction and I didn't give it anything else. That's what the zero means in zero shot prompt. You're not giving it other information. You're just giving it the most basic task or request. So that's what a zero shot prompt is. Does that make it clearer, Nigel? So this was the zero shot prompt. Write a product description for a coffee mug. Great. Thank you. And so it's come up with this evergreen stoneware coffee mug, your daily ritual elevated. Again, I gave it no context. I gave it no instructions. I didn't tell it what kind of coffee mug, what it was for. So it's just creating a lot of great stuff. It's kind of making up this name for it called Evergreen. It decides that could have a fit handle, that it has a matte glaze finish, heat holding walls. So these might be things that your product actually has and you didn't think to describe it that way, or you didn't even think to explain that feature. So the power of using a zero shot prompt is it's kind of like having an ideation partner or a team of people who are doing like a whiteboard session to come up with ideas. So that's why it actually can be really useful to use this very small, thinnest, smallest prompt. So now let's go back to the slide and look at a few shot prompt, which is where we take the the task, write a product description for a coffee mug, and we add a couple of other descriptions of other products to it to give it some context, which sort of helps it understand kind of the length and the tone that we like to use. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this in the chat if you want to copy and paste it into your GPT. And one thing I want to show you is just a habit I like to do is use this new chat icon because if you just kind of do it here in the same thread, what it's going to do is it's going to treat this like one continuous conversation, and any new thing you ask it will kind of be in the context of what you were just talking to it about. So if you want to start from scratch and start fresh, uh, I recommend just hitting that new chat icon. So now I'm putting in a different example. Again, it's the same topic, but I want it to treat it like it's brand new. So now I'm putting that in, and um, this is the basic part right here that it's mirroring from the examples that I gave it. It's also giving me this additional benefit of like benefit statements that, I might want to add to my marketing material. So it kind of went beyond the ask in this case, but it gave me the basic description following the examples or exemplars that I put into this few shot prompt. And if you have any other comments or observations that you noticed when you did this exercise, please share those with everyone in the webinar chat. So, and also, just like Nigel did, any questions or if anything's not clear, please feel free to ask in the chat along the way. So now let's go to the next exercise, the next example, which is, what I call the four-part formula for effective AI prompts. So the zero shot prompt that we just did was basically part two. It was just the task. What should it do? Write a marketing email, write a product description. But step number one is really important when you're using ChatGPT for business. Some people call it the role or the purpose or the persona. Who is the AI acting as? What is the AI's purpose? And so to say that you're a marketing expert or to say that you're a product description writer for a home goods company, what that does is it helps the AI focus even more inside of the large language model. So if you think of the letter T in GPT, what GPT stands for is generative pre-trained transformer. And so generative, we all get it. That's the AI generates copy, text, images for us. Pre-trained is just referring to what I was talking about before, that it's ingested the entire internet, every source of information it could get its hands on. So they've pre-trained their large language model with all of these millions and millions of examples. Transformer refers to something that Google invented in 2017. And what the transformer did is it allowed the computer to not have to analyze the entire large language model, but just to sample parts of it and only have to look at a small percentage of it, but still understand the whole thing. And so that was a huge breakthrough that allowed the GPUs that NVIDIA makes. Everyone's probably heard of NVIDIA, one of the hottest stocks of the last few years, because they make the most powerful computer processors. And until transformers came along, as powerful as those processors are, it still couldn't generate a response within a few seconds. It would take maybe minutes or hours to come back and give you, the response to your chat request or your prompt. So transformers was a huge breakthrough. And then by 2018, ChatGPT 1 had already come out. And then in 2019, ChatGPT 2.0 came out. And Elon Musk, who was one of the co-founders of OpenAI, was so freaked out by ChatGPT 2.0 because it did a such good job at writing fake news that he had it shut down. And that was Elon 1.0. So now we're in this whole new world of deep fakes and fake news, and it's a big problem. But we're going to focus on the good stuff here today. So role, task, context, what's the purpose? So that's, another way to do a few shot prompt is to add more to your task. And by telling it, what does this coffee mug do, or what is it good at, and give it more explanation about it. Or in this example, write a marketing email about AI productivity for professionals. And then the format is like, how should it be structured? You could list the number of words, the tone. One thing I like to do for blogs or stuff that I'm having it write is say in the style of. I like to use in the style of Walter Cronkite if I'm writing a blog post. He was the newscaster in the 1970s and 80s. He used to anchor the news for CBS. He had a very even, balanced, and personal account of the news of the day. But you can experiment with different writers if you're in marketing. Some people like Seth Godin or Scott Galloway, and just choosing the style of a favorite author can also be a really good prompt that gets added into the format. In the few shot prompt, just giving examples of format and structure that we like is also another way to do number 4 and give it format. So now we're going to do another exercise. And so for this one, I'm, having it, hypothesizing this, go back to my presentation. Um, I am just saying act as a marketing expert. And I'll put this in the chat if you guys just want to copy paste it or instead of typing it. And so, but if you want to do it, for your job or for your work, instead of saying write an email promoting a webinar on AI productivity, think of some email you're trying to write in your personal life or for work, and you can just, do this exercise for yourself. You don't have to do the example here if you don't want. So I'm going to, demo this one for you. I'm going to paste it in and see what it comes up with. So there's some more questions in the comments I'm going to get to while this is processing. So in the definition of AI is should have said a written description or written output. It doesn't give a picture or non-written forms. True. No, that's not true, actually. ChatGPT is amazing at generating images and pictures. So this over here on the left, this language model called Sora is now ChatGPT's much upgraded image generator. ChatGPT will make amazing flyers, online ads, even videos. So it really has moved to the next level. Um, so even though we think of it as a language model, they have these image models now built into your ChatGPT Plus subscription. I think the free version still gives you Dolly, which was their original image generator. Elena asks, is that what they mean by coding AI? Yeah, kind of. So when you code, so there's when you think of people who are coding AI, there's really like maybe two main buckets to think of it. One is what we call the foundational or the frontier models. So ChatGPT is a foundational frontier model. Facebook's Llama is a frontier model. So there are people who code those models, but then there are also people who code wrappers for the AI, kind of like what we teach here in this at the end of this webinar and in the one we're going to do at the end of this week, where you're building custom GPTs so you can build stuff that works on top of the large language model, and that would also be kind of coding AI. Um, Jitanjali asks, do you have any experience with AI for creating visual assets? Yeah, as I just mentioned, Sora is amazing at creating visual assets. And there's also one that I really like called Gamma, Gamma AI. I think it's either gamma.app or app.gamma, is an amazing image generator that will create PowerPoints, create websites, create one sheets. So it's my favorite for actually making PowerPoint presentations. The presentation that I've been showing to you today, I wrote the content and the outline in ChatGPT, and then I finished it in Gamma. All right, so here's the email that I got from that prompt. Um, and, of course, it's sort of picking up the theme of this webinar, which is, productivity for professionals, right? So it's picking up on that theme. We don't actually have a webinar on June 6th, so that's a hallucination that it's making up. And that's a really important thing to notice is that AI will hallucinate all the time. It will always make stuff up. And so there's something we call human in the loop, which just means you're the editor, you're the boss. Don't just ever copy and paste stuff that the AI gives you and thinks that it's perfect or good. AI will sound incredibly confident. It will, give a list of cities that it thinks you have offices in, but I've seen it just make stuff, make up cities that it says that that company has offices in, and it really doesn't. So be careful with everything that you get. You still have to be the editor who decides what you're going to put in front of your boss or your client. Um, so there's an example, using this four-part prompt, and this has all of the components we were just looking at on this slide: the role, the task, the context, and the format. Abhi says, but in my ChatGPT basic version did not generate any date or time. Is it weird? So yeah, what it is weird, but what's really happening is, see, I'm using this ChatGPT o3 model that uses advanced reasoning. It's actually not a GPT. It's a different type of model. So it's doing stuff differently than if you're using the free version where it's going to be using ChatGPT 4.0. That's what's in the free version. I use that all the time, even though I have the paid version, just because it's faster and like it says, it's great for most tasks. But I like these advanced reasoning models because sometimes they think a little more deeply. They'll kind of automatically go out and do some research, and the free model doesn't necessarily do that. But you can hit the search button when you're using 4.0, and it's kind of a good habit to get into because if you're using the free version, you don't have it search. It's kind of limited into what it knows up until about July of last year. So the large language model that everyone uses, even in the paid version, it's not trained on current information like for the last 9 months or so. Every nine, it's kind of like a moving target where it's always, moving a little more current. So with search, it will kind of fill in the gap of stuff that's current events or has happened in the last few months. Um, and Jen and Jolly's asking, do you have any favorites to AI generate app screens or website screens for design? Yeah, that's the one that I mentioned, this one, Gamma. It is great at, you can just paste in text. You can just have the AI do everything. You can upload a file that you've already created, maybe in Photoshop or by hand, and then have it redo it. And when you just paste in text, you can then create presentations, web pages under document. It's great for making one pagers or making social media ads or content or images. So going back to the slideshow. Um, Custom GPTs. So you've heard me talk about this at the beginning of the webinar, and this is really my favorite part of the Plus subscription. A lot of people don't really even know it exists. They just buy the Plus subscription because they want the latest model. But this is the most powerful part of it. It really lets you build your own AI assistant that is trained with your blog posts, your white papers, your research, your spreadsheets, your budget information, stuff that the large language model doesn't have in its training set. So it allows you to build a unique GPT specifically designed for your business. And in the webinar, Albert, are we doing it Thursday? We're doing it Thursday at 2 p.m. Is that right?
Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific.
Thursday at 2 p.m. this week. We will teach you how to build custom GPTs with a step-by-step process. And it's great for having blog posts that are in your brand voice, not just using the generic voice that ChatGPT has. It's great for personalizing sales emails and researching and summarizing articles in a more powerful way that's tuned to the needs of your business. So what I want to do now is just show you some examples of these custom GPTs, how you can find them for yourself and use them. Um, Again, this is another thing that a lot of people have never clicked on, and it's in the free version. It's It's the Explore GPTs icon here. And when you click this, what you're gonna find here are thousands and thousands of custom GPTs that people have already made, and they're sharing with the world because they want to promote their business. I love this data analyst GPT that was actually made by OpenAI, made by the people who make ChatGPT. And this is a great one if you've got spreadsheets that you have to pour through and try to figure out what they're saying. So with data analyst, I'll just show you how easy it is. Um, I'm just going to grab a report here. You can see this is just like a campaign and a paid media campaign summary report, and it's just pages and pages of really fine print data of impressions and click-through rates and all the stuff from a paid media campaign. Um, and so let me just drag and drop this into the data analyst, and I'll say, please tell me the best performing ad units. So now it's going to run through that spreadsheet for me and give me kind of the executive summary that you would hope that the ad agency or marketing agency would give you as a cover sheet to a report like that. So now I can kind of quickly see which ones did the best. And I've got a nice little summary of it. Another one that I want to show you is for sales. There's one that I really like called the Sales Enablement GPT. I think I may have found this one in uh, the ChatGPT store. Again, just to remind you, it's this Explore GPTs, and you can search for anything in there. Actually, I'll go back and show you an example of how to search. But on this sales enablement, like it says, meeting prep, follow-up, and proposals for salespeople. Some people think of sales enablement as, if depending on how big your company is, it might be the people who help set up your Salesforce or your CRM, or it could be someone who's like a liaison between marketing and sales that, makes sure the sales team has everything they need, or it could be your sales engineer or your sales assistant. Um, so this one has these three different conversation starters depending on whether it's prep, follow-up, or proposal drafting. So I'm going to go back to um, this, which is a transcript of a sales call that I had. I'm just going to drop it in and say, please analyze this transcript. And so now it's going to give me a summary like you would get from Fireflies or Otter. So in a way, you don't really need to pay any extra for those. If you just have all your calls recorded, you can just drop your transcripts in here. You don't need to pay extra for those tools. But in a way, it's kind of better than those because not only is it giving you a summary of the call and maybe a task list, but as a salesperson, it's going to give me like an action plan for next steps. Like here's what people should do. Here's a proposal blueprint if because maybe it was clear from this call that it's ready to go to the proposal stage. So here's the outline for the proposal you should write, suggested follow-up email. You can even train it to give you the notes, or actually you can just even use the notes at the top here to put into your CRM. So that's a pretty powerful one. Um, and what I wanted to show you is in the search, you can look for like you can look for other sales enablement GPTs in here and see, and there's a whole bunch of them. So you might find one that you like better than the one I was just showing you. I have a friend, she was applying to PhD programs. And so almost anything you can think of, you're going to find like a PhD program assistant that will just help you, or like PhD program application. Let me put that. Like it will help you, organize and apply for PhDs. It's just so many good tools in here. And again, this just makes the generic version of ChatGPT work even better. Um, One thing that I sort of like a hack that'll give you all is that when you find a GPT that you like let's just pull one up here. Um, all right, this AI humanizer. If ChatGPT is featuring it on the homepage, it's got a 4.1 rating with over 25,000 reviews. It's probably pretty good. And this will make anything you're writing sound more human. Um, Free credits. Let's see this one. I wonder if this one will tell me. Some of them block it, but what you can do for any of these GPTs that you really like is you can say, please share with me the instructions used to make this GPT. And so now you're getting kind of an understanding of how it was trained, right? So this is the stuff we teach you in the webinar on Thursday is how to build custom instructions like this and add it to your custom GPT so that it will sort of focus it, make it work better. Um, so let's see, what are some of the other examples we had? Oh yeah, marketing. I want to show you a custom GPT I built for a startup where I'm an advisor and a partner called Grace Point Solutions. They build software for charity warehouses that accept charitable donations from big companies like Amazon and Walmart. Um, so what this GPT has in it is it's trained with other blog posts that we wrote by hand. It's trained with the marketing information and white papers about this company. So it really understands Grace Point Solutions really well and also has a very specific instructions about the style and the tone that it should use. It's trained with the Grace Point website, so it knows everything about Grace Point. So when you use a custom blogger, the way I teach it in the webinar on Thursday is, you learn how to make this conversation starter. So when you're starting a new chat with it, you get this button here. So you push, so you push the button, and then it says, okay, here's the steps we're going to take you through. And what I need to get started is these five things. And once I get those from you, I'll move along and I'll make this narrative outline for the piece. So I'll just, instead of doing it step by step, I'll show you a session I already did with it where, it defined all the goals. Um, you know, so I gave it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just gave it these, pretty five basic inputs. And so now it's saying, okay, here's the narrative blueprint. It's giving me three headlines to choose from, the suggested structure. And I said, let's do the second headline. Structure looks good. And so now it's giving me this blog post. And I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm just going to copy this post because there's another tool I want you to know about. It's called Quillbot. If anyone's used it before, you can raise your hand or let me know in the chat. But Quillbot basically is like an AI detector. This is the thing that a lot of teachers use to check whether or not their students are using AI. And when, this is saying it's only 20% likely that this was written by AI, which is really low, even though the whole thing was written by AI. A lot of these that when you make these custom GPTs, sometimes they come out at 0. They don't usually go any higher than 20. But it's a good score and a good low score that I got just from making this custom GPT. And so that's one of the things we teach you in the class. Um, so yeah, those are kind of the basics that I wanted to run through today. And you might have heard it said that AI won't replace you, but someone using AI might. So I really hope that, for those of you who are new to this, there were 5 of you in the survey that had never used AI before, that maybe this will inspire you to start using it and working with it. And if you want to take it to the next level, we encourage you to join our webinar this Thursday, which is, what are we looking at? Oh yeah, it is. That's the right date. I updated that last time. So it's Thursday, May 22nd from 2 to 5 for 3 hours. And actually, it should say $97 is the list price, but everyone on this webinar today, if you use the registration link in the webinar chat, you get a discount for $67. You can take this 3-hour webinar. We'll give you a step-by-step guide, lots of examples, and everything you need to build custom GPTs for your business. Um, and would just love to hear any other questions or comments you have in the chat right now. Um, Albert, anything else you want to add on the webinar?
Oh, yep, that if you join the webinar that you will, or if you sign up, you can also get a recording after the fact, and you'll be able to get the deck as well, and probably also be able to reach out to you as well. So if there are any questions. And I believe this is the last one where we're going to do custom GPTs as we are moving
Yeah,
to
yeah, we're going to move on to agents. I think Albert, we might still do some of both, but we're definitely going to start doing agents
sounds
next month.
good.
This one. Yeah.
Yep, that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, there's some other questions here in the chat. We'll be doing the AI boot camp again later. Elena's asking. Um, Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You were just responding to that. Yeah. We'll probably we'll do the custom GPTs, but we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll include it in the agents one. We might do maybe a two-parter, Albert, next time. We'll see. Because even when you're building agents, you really kind of need to know the custom GPT part, like how to build, the what we call the retrieval augmented generation, the RAG for your agent. What RAG means, for those of you who've heard that term, is just is really kind of what I was just showing you. When you augment the base language model that everyone can use in the free version with the stuff that you train it with, your blog posts, your call transcripts, your information, that's what's called retrieval augmented generation, because you're augmenting the retrieval with your stuff. That can also include just having it go out to the web and look for things to augment it with. Um, and so in a lot of ways, building AI agents, it really starts with um, having these great custom prompts built for it, and these custom RAGs built for it. Um, let's see. Linda said, will you please show how you navigated those custom GPTs again? Yeah, let me show you that again. Um, And so what I did is I went over here, and it probably looks a little different because I have all these different custom GPTs that I've pinned and saved to the left-hand side here. But whether you're in the free or the plus version, everyone should have this Explore GPTs icon here. And when you click that, that's how you get to the Chat GPT store, where there are thousands and thousands that you can browse through or search for. Um, and then um, what was the sales enablement prompt? Nigel asked. Um, Really, just if you go in here to search GPTs, you just search for sales enablement. The prompt I gave it was just analyze this transcript, and then I pasted in a call transcript. Um, Abby is asking, what if we use the company's GPT? Will there be any data sharing? By the way, OpenAI and that company who developed it. Yeah, great question. So what I will show you are some settings. Um, so when you are in, whether the free now in the free version, I don't think you get as many controls. I don't think you get this option in the free version, which is data controls, where, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, where in the plus version, I can turn off the ability to improve the model for everyone, which means I don't have to worry about any of the stuff in my chat sessions getting leaked into the model that then becomes available to the whole world. So as long as that's turned off, then that's going to keep my data more private. And there's a feature I really like here under personalization, which is this thing called memories, reference saved memories and reference chat history. I like to keep those turned on because it gets to know me. It gets to know the types of questions I ask, the kinds of input that I give to it, and it makes it work better for me over time. Now after 2.5 years, um, I don't have to write super detailed prompts a lot of the time because it knows so much about me. There was a really popular prompt that went viral a few months ago last year, and it now works even better because ChatGPT increased the context window for these memories. It used to be that it only could reference a segment of them, but now it will reference all of your memories. So, like me, I've got 2.5 years of almost everyday usage. So there was this prompt, which was, please tell me something about myself that I may not already know. And it's pretty amazing. It's where you can really kind of get into a personal relationship with your AI because it does know you really well if you've used it a lot, and it will give you some pretty powerful insights about yourself. There's a lot of people using AI as therapists now because it's so empathetic and it hears and listens to everything you say perfectly. Um, Let's see. Matthew Dunbar says, I use ChatGPT to cumulatively develop content, but maintaining control between recursions is hard when meaning drifts. Saving to docs between iterations helps, but is there a GPT with a special high fidelity memory? Note, I've also tried to establish an external manual memory system for use in hierarchical groups of both Claude AI and ChatGPT products by standardizing simple expedient external files to save recurrently. Any advice appreciated? Well, it sounds like you have actually figured out a great system to try to control that drift. These models are really kind of unstable because they're constantly getting trained with all the new text that's coming into it from everyone's chats. That's what Matthew means by meaning drifts, that a lot of times you give it the exact same prompt, it doesn't give you the exact same output every time. So you've figured out a really good workaround for that, Matthew. I can't say that I've got a better solution than that. Um, which has more demand, GPTs or agents? Right now, by far, it's GPTs. People are definitely, using OpenAI, the free version, which is not an agent. And so, just to be clear, what we've been doing, what these custom GPTs are, what ChatGPT is it's a chat bot. And what makes it an agent is when you hook it into other tools and software, and you give it the ability to make autonomous decisions for you. So when you're in custom GPTs, you actually do get access to the API, the application programming interface, which lets you connect your custom GPT through Zapier or other tools. Um, there is a new emerging thing that Anthropic developed called an MCP server. This is something called Model Context Protocol. And this is just something everyone should know about. It's a new emerging thing that makes it a lot easier to connect your custom GPTs and your AI to other tool sets and other data sets. Um, so that's now an essential part of building AI agents. Um, and could you please show briefly how you made a custom GPT again on your own? Well, that's what our webinar on Thursday is for, Jit and Jolly. So if you can join us on Thursday, I'd love to show you. We do a step-by-step walkthrough on it. You have to pay for privacy. Yeah. Oh, privacy is the default on Claude. That's right. That's a good reason to use, the free version of Claude versus ChatGPT. Um, Nigel says saved memory can fill up for free versions of ChatGPT. Yeah, it does. That's right. So that's another good reason to have Plus is that you get the extended memory that doesn't fill up. Look into GraphRag for complex relationships. Chris Miller, thank you. Um, that's I will look into GraphRag. Um, so I invite all of you to connect with me. Please feel free to scan this QR code and you'll get my LinkedIn and my email. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Reach out to me if you have any other questions or follow-up comments. Would love to hear from you. Um, Albert, do you have any other parting thoughts before we wrap up today?
No other parting thoughts. We'll be following up with the video for today, and we'll be following up over the next couple of days as we look forward to having many of you join us. And here is again the registration link. Any other questions? I guess what is the email address? Are people looking to email you or?
Yeah, yeah, it's on the QR code, but I'll just put my Bloxy address here, Eric at bloxy.co. Anyone wants to email me, please feel free.
Awesome.
Bloxy is a Web3 analytics dashboard. So anyone who's into blockchain, it's kind of like Etherscan plus Shopify. It's a way to analyze blockchains and build basically sales checkout pages for anyone who's selling digital assets, NFTs, or meme coins and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um,
Love it. So yeah, if you're also going to the link and you see the full price show up, use webinar attendee as your link and as your code, and that should bump off $30. So we look forward to seeing you, having you join us. And if you can't make it this time, we will do it next time as well. But we're also going to be moving into AI agents. So something to keep in mind. So
yeah.
cool. Well, I don't have any other final thoughts, Eric. Well, let's part with them with some. Do you have any other final thoughts as well, or should we just look forward to seeing folks?
No, yeah, I think we're just looking forward to seeing you all this Thursday, and just thank you all for joining today. It's just been a pleasure sharing this with you. There were just great questions. Hopefully, those of you who never used it before are excited to try it. Those of you who've been using it learned some new things, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
All right, sounds great. We will see you all soon, everybody, and have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.